Now at 5, 1 hour until the polls close. I'm Anna Chalker live at Bridgeport Elementary School as voters are still in line to cast their ballots.
Rainy and windy. Those are the weather impacts for the rest of our election day when the rain moves out. In your forecast.
And the Delphi murders trial.
The forensic psychiatrist that took to the stand today in Delphi and what he is saying about Richard Allen's alleged confessions. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
And this is a live look at the Whitestown Municipal Complex voting location up in Boone County. The line is wrapped around the inside and all the way outside, full of voters there.
The lines are packed with some of these last-minute voters. The polls will close at 6 o'clock in just 1 hour from now. And 13 News is seeing these long and steady lines all day today, all around East Central Indiana.
They say all you have to do is be in line. 13 News is your election headquarters, and we are with you from the time the polls open all the way through until the last vote is counted. And we have team coverage for you tonight at 5. Anna Chalker is live at a polling location in Wayne Township on the city's west side.
So we're monitoring the election. We're also monitoring the weather. First, we have Angela in the Weather Center, and she has some details about rain that could cause some issues for last-minute voters that are standing in line outside. Angela?
Yes, Anne-Marie, not an issue if you have an umbrella, but yes, we do have rain in the forecast. Heaviest will fall now through 10 o'clock tonight. It has been windy and warm. Fourth warmest election day on record. We'll go inside those numbers in a few minutes. Wind gusts have topped 30 miles per hour, and we still expect that rain to have an impact on voters, especially in the next hour or two. Remember, as Felicia mentioned, as long as you are in line by 6, you can vote, but definitely take the umbrella. You can see some of the steadier rain falling from north to south. We'll dive into Marion County, where all of the county is covered with rain, from Indianapolis to Beech Grove, Lawrence to Castleton. Some of the heaviest on the southwest side headed into Mooresville and Martinsville. This extends south into Bloomington. Last local stop to the north, we have rain north and east and additional rain developing west. Just the beginning of a soggy evening for central Indiana, but it does stay mild. We're in the 60s and 70s through 9 o'clock.
All right, thanks so much, Angela.
And more than 1 million people voted early in the state of Indiana. The momentum seems to be continuing at the polls.
That's right. These long lines out the door and around the parking lot have been the theme all day long since our first reports early at 5 o'clock this morning. Tonight at 5, Anna Chalker is live on the city's west side. That's where voters say they've been waiting at least an hour in line all day long. Anna?
Anne-Marie, Felicia, I'm here inside the gym of Bridgeport Elementary School, and I'll tell you those wait times have ranged from 20, 30 minutes to almost an hour and a half throughout the day. It's kind of a wide range of times out here. I'll tell you the line outside, it is raining, so we've stayed inside the gym. The line is already going around the school as those last-minute voters are coming out, but I want to step out of the way to show you what it looks like here inside of this gym. The line will kind of start here behind me, and then it moves towards the bleachers over to the other side of the gym, and people, they tell us once they've gotten here inside the gym, it's been pretty quick, about 20 minutes here specifically inside of the gym, but maybe they had to wait a little longer outside of the area. Now, this is one of the busier locations here on the west side. Workers tell us this morning it took people a few hours, and the line was wrapped around the school well before 6 o'clock this morning. And while people were in line, they may have also heard some cheering. This was for any first-time voter. They got a small celebration on top of that I voted sticker that you get. And one tells us he's been waiting all year for this day, and he is proud to use his voice.
It felt pretty good, you know. My future, this is about my future, so I feel like I'm gonna be, I have a voice, a say in my future and everybody else's, so it was good to have that feeling today.
I checked in at other West Side locations throughout the day. When I was at Eastbrook Elementary School, the wait time was about 45 minutes to an hour throughout the day. Now back here live at Bridgeport, there is still an hour to go for polls until they close at 6. Now, just as a reminder, if you are in line at 6 o'clock, if you're heading out right now, once you get in line at 6, you still can vote. Your voice matters if you are still here in line. So do not leave, stay put. We'll be checking in throughout the rest of the day, and we'll have an update when those polls close close at 6 o'clock. Live in Indianapolis, Anna Chalker, 13 News.
Anna, thanks so much. And it's not just on the west side where the turnout appears to be high, also in the suburban donut counties. So let's look to the north and west in Boone County. A live look right now. Karen Campbell will be joining us live from this location with a look at how turnout looks there in areas to the north and west.
And voters are coming out to cast their ballot in top races. Take a look at your screen. Nationally, the president and statewide, and the governor and race for the governor's race for attorney general. Excuse me, the governor's and the attorney general race. These top races are big conversations for voters. In less than an hour, votes will start to be counted. And we have team coverage from the party's election night headquarters. Emily Longnecker is at Democratic headquarters, and she's at the Athenaeum. But we begin with Jenny Runovich at the GOP election night headquarters at the JW Marriott with more on the race for governor. Hey, Jenny.
Hi, Felicia. Yeah, here at the JW is where the GOP will gather for a watch party later tonight. The doors here opening in just about an hour from now, and the race for governor is one they will be watching closely. Of course, Indiana has been a reliably red state. They have held the governor's office for the past 20 years, but this year, the governor's race is seen as being closer. Of course, Mike Braun, a Republican, is facing Jennifer McCormick, the Democrat. Here's why it's viewed as closer this year. Now, to be clear, Braun is still seen as the front runner. It's his race to lose, experts say. But two reasons this could be close: the Beckwith effect and the rainwater effect. First, Braun's running mate, Micah Beckwith. Braun didn't choose him. Of course, Beckwith pulled an upset at the GOP convention in June. Some also call his views extreme. Beckwith has made some controversial comments on social issues, so that could be a factor. Also, Donald Rainwater, he's the Libertarian candidate. He had a strong showing back in 2020, and he could peel some votes away from Braun. In fact, Republicans actually sent out some mailers attacking Rainwater. That's something not usually done for a third-party candidate. Also of note, national dollars. Both the Democrats and the Republicans nationally have pumped some major money into both campaigns, so that could have an impact as well. We will see what voters decide and start getting the results hopefully in about an hour. Again, that's when the doors here at the JW will open. We'll be covering it all night long for you. Ann and Felicia.
All right, Jenny Runovich reporting live for us tonight from GOP headquarters at the JW Marriott in downtown Indy. Now, that contentious race for Attorney General is also something that is bringing voters out to the polls across the state today.
And it's one of the races that Democrats are keeping an eye on tonight. Emily Longnecker is live at the Democrat election night headquarters with more. Emily.
Yeah, Ann and Felicia, we're here at the Athenaeum. This is where the Democrats are going to be, including Destiny Wells. She's running as the Democratic candidate for Attorney General, trying to unseat incumbent Todd Rokita, a Republican who's held the seat since 2020. The two have faced off in one debate this election season, tackling issues like immigration, abortion, and the role of the Attorney General. Now, the Attorney General is the state's chief legal officer, and they represent the state and its agencies and employees in civil and criminal cases in the state and federal courts. The Attorney General also oversees consumer protection, Medicaid fraud, and the state's unclaimed property unit. Now, Todd Rokita is the incumbent. He's held the office since 2020. He's also been a United States congressman in the Indiana Secretary of State, roles that have placed him in Indiana politics for 2 decades. Destiny Wells won the May primary to be the Democratic challenger in this race. She's a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army Reserve and deployed to Afghanistan in 2016. She's also worked as a deputy attorney general when Republican Curtis Hill held the office. Wells is no stranger to campaigning for office. 2 years ago, she ran for Secretary of State and lost to Republican Diego Morales in that race. Wells again expected here to be here at the Athenaeum tonight, along with those other Democratic statewide candidates, including Jennifer McCormick, who is running for governor, and Dr. Valerie McRae, who is trying to be elected as Indiana's next United States Senator. Will be here bringing you all of the developments throughout the night. Live at the Athenaeum. Felicia, Ann, back to you.
All right, Emily Longnecker reporting live for us tonight. We will check in as the results come in tonight. And we're going to have more on these highly contested races online right now at WTHR.com/elections.
We also will have complete live coverage when the polls close on WTHR Plus, as well as our mobile app.
Turning to other news now on this election day. To the north in Delphi, the Delphi murders trial. Multiple people taking to the witness stand today,
including a digital forensic examiner who shared brand new information in court this afternoon.
Samantha Johnson is heading up our coverage live in Delphi tonight. And Sam, I know it's been a long day for you. You've been in the courtroom all day today. Let's start with this new digital information that came out today.
Yeah, and Ann and Felicia, this is the most new information, too, I can give you. It comes from a former FBI forensic examiner. Her name is Stacey Eldridge. She was on the stand today for almost 2 hours inside the courtroom. She says she reviewed digital data pulled by Indiana State Police from Libby German's phone around the time the girls went missing. But this examiner says she went digging and she did her own data, too, and she found even more information. So she says using the same data state police had access to years ago, she discovered someone inserted a headphone jack into Libby's phone at 5:45 p.m. on February 13th. That headphone jack was then removed at 10:32 that same night. And Eldridge says just milliseconds before the headphone was inserted, Libby's phone was ringing. So what's the big deal here? We know Libby's phone reportedly stopped tracking movement around 2:32 on the 13th. And we've known the phone was not responding to cell towers from 5:45 on the 13th until the early morning hours on the 14th. But this information about the headphones is the first time we've ever heard about someone else possibly interacting with Libby's phone. Now, the defense went on to say if the phone was stationary, if it was at the crime scene this whole time, why would it disconnect from cell service for hours and then suddenly reconnect at 4:33 in the morning the next day? Well, Eldridge said she found no digital evidence of what could have gone wrong, and she suggested something external happened. She said either the phone was moved or the signal was blocked. Now, today inside the courtroom, the Carroll County prosecutor, Nicholas McLeland, he pushed back a little bit. He said, had you ever been to the crime scene? Do you know what the cell service was like the day that we are talking about this data, February 13th, 2017, alluding to the fact that they likely had poor cell service, and maybe it's more feasible that the phone just lost service for all of those hours, too. Anne Marie and Felicia, one of the most important topics that came out of today's testimony from Allen's attorneys.
So that's really interesting because it seems like you'd have to have some expertise to block the signal from a phone, wouldn't you, Sam?
Yeah, and she was asked about that too. The prosecutor asked, well, wouldn't someone have to have some kind of device or some kind of tool with them to help block that? And she said, yeah, they likely would. So there was a little bit of pushback in some of her testimony earlier today. It's also important to mention that was just one of the witnesses the defense called today. We also heard from a psychiatrist who specializes in solitary confinement, memory, and false confessions. And then we heard from a forensic scientist who works in firearm and crime scene reconstruction, a few of the very key issues that have been brought up time and time again in this case. We'll break down what else we've learned coming up tonight at 6.
All right, our coverage continues throughout the news tonight. Sam, thanks so much for joining us live from Delphi at this hour.
Okay, a big day of testimony for the defense there. We are going to have more on what happened today in our Delphi debrief. You can catch it weeknights at 10 p.m. on WTHR Plus, and it's free on Apple TV, Fire Stick, as well as Roku. Let's get it over to Angela.
Hey, Felicia, weather pattern turning soggy as we wrap up Election Day, but from soggy to sunny in your forecast.
We're in the room where the votes are being counted. Up next, how it's going here in Marion County.